Those of you who are really into mixed martial arts know that it is full of competition and some pretty amazing brutal fights. It is safe to say that many of the famous MMA fighters seem quite intimidating, and even other competitors are pretty scared of them. Derek Brunson is one of those fighters. So why are fighters really scared of Derek Brunson? Let's find out. The background of Brunson. Brunson is a young American mixed martial artist who had his professional MMA debut in May of 2010. He had to fight against John Bryant. It is safe to say that this was the battle which really introduced the whole world to what Brunson was really capable of. He managed to defeat his opponent by a rear naked choke in less than a minute. At least 5 of his following fights had the same exact outcome. On June 24, 2011, he made his Strikeforce debut, which, as you might have guessed, he won. Brunson made his Ultimate Fighting Championship debut on December 29, 2012. He had to replace Carlos Vimola, who by that time was injured. Despite the fact that he was a late replacement and did not really have much time to prepare, he still managed to defeat Chris Lieben with a unanimous decision. Through the last decade, Brunson has had some pretty amazing battles. Sure, he's lost some of them, but it is really his trophies that he is mostly known for. At the age of 37, he has already achieved so much. It is really his fighting skills and reputation that makes other fighters so scared. Let us talk more in detail about his fighting skills. Striking. Well, Brunson is quite well known to have 2 major modes of kickboxing. He is either picking and moving on the outside with patience, or he is wildly attacking his opponents. He is a physical fighter, and in most cases, he is trying to overwhelm his competitor with raw aggression. It is his most visible strategy. It is noteworthy that he is actually considered a middleweight, but he has enormous power. In most of his battles, he is the one who leads it. We mean if he decides to fire a fight, the opponent really has no other choice but to engage. Many of you may remember his fight with Sam Alvey when Brunson drove him into the fence in no time. After that, he stepped back and started hitting the opponent as if he was throwing fastballs. Brunson did not really give Sam much space to move or be able to fight back, so we could easily see that despite trying hard, Alvey was not able to retreat effectively. The fight with Edmund Shabazan is also worth mentioning, as it was probably Brunson's smartest fight. Because Shabazan was technically more advanced, Brunson decided not to use his usual strategy. Instead, he approached his rival with a left round and quick kicks, using his left hand from time to time. Maybe it was not super strategic, and the left was obviously not very technical, but Brunson was patient and won some time until he finally felt safe to burst with multi-kick combinations, and in no time he had the back of his opponent near the fence. Despite all the things we said, it's also very possible to hit Brunson during the fight. It is true that the athlete is quite patient, but he mostly relies on the distance and on his left hand to block his rival's offense rather than the movement of the head or slick defense. However, when the fighter gets a bit crazier and wildly leads with his head, the possibility of getting himself into a big counter shot increases a lot. Now let's talk about his wrestling skills. The athlete has proven many times that he is a very skilled wrestler when it comes to both offense and defense. Brunson's known for his strong double leg takedown pushes that go straight through defenses. Using this technique, he either smashes his opponent instantly or lets him lift near the fence. Because of that, he usually does not even need much of a setup to finish the shot. It's also interesting that he manages to hide the shot behind the left. When he was fighting against Yoel Romero, Brunson really delivered one of the most impressive wrestling skills of his career. He managed to dominate the first 2 rounds with a strong takedown against the Olympian. In the first round, Brunson controlled his opponent with a strong clinch game. Despite the fact that Romero tried to land his inside trip several times, he really did not succeed because Brunson managed to stand strong and keep digging for underhooks. As a result, he was able to slam his rival to the mat. In the second round, Derek double dragged his opponent to the mat. It may not be news to you that Romero uses slow and awkward movements in a fight just to lull the opponent in the illusion of security and safety. In many cases, it's actually worked for him, but with Brunson, this technique did not really bring him any success. Derek used this time to get in deep on his hips as Romero backed away to avoid a kick. Brunson's capable of covering a lot of distance with his punches. As it turned out, it was a surprise for his rival, and as soon as Brunson started delivering his quick punches, Romero found it impossible to defend himself. We should also mention Brunson's match against Holland. Throughout the match, he found it very hard to keep Derek off his hips. Derek really delivered his wrestling skills on full display in this fight. Every time Brunson dropped down, he would always find the strength to build up the base and go back to his position. As soon as Brunson found himself beneath Holland, he did not have any issues completing the shot. Well, Kevin Holland ended up losing the fight, and he got criticism from the UFC president Dana White. "I think that was a mental breakdown," White explained to Yahoo Sports after the fight. "The only other thing I saw like it was when Lennox Lewis fought Oliver McCall, who kept his hands at his side and was crying. I don't know what he was doing. I think he might not have been able to handle the pressure and just broke mentally. I haven't seen anything like that." Brunson disagreed with what White said and pointed out that the trophy was the result of his dominant wrestling showcase. He repeatedly took the opponent down and did not really allow him to get up until the round was over. "No, he just couldn't stop the takedowns," Brunson said about Holland at the post-fight press conference. "It's funny. He kept presenting his hips. He's a guy who's very explosive, likes to run in, but he's long, so he kind of gets away with it at times, so he kept presenting his hips, and he was there for the taking down. What did Elias Michael Theodorou have to say about Brunson's fighting skills? Well, yes, based on what we already said, it is obvious why so many people, including the fighters, find Brunson so scary. However, not everyone agrees with that. Back in 2019, a Canadian mixed martial artist, Elias Michael Theodorou, had a lot to say about Brunson's fighting skills. He said that Derek fights scared. He is someone who has shown that he fights a little scared, Elias said about Brunson while talking to Bloody Elbow. He sometimes let the win slip out of his hands, and I have shown time and time again where I'm someone who can find a win no matter what. Well, Elias is quite known for his in-cage style, and to be honest, it's not the most crowd-pleasing. It's also true that he is very talented and has been achieving a lot of success in the middleweight division and is definitely someone to look out for. The two fighters had a conflict on social media, and it was very obvious for everybody that they would have a match. Elias knew that Brunson was talking about him on social media. He claimed that he is way better than Derek and he would make way more than Brunson after his contract would be finalized. I have heard some of the things he said in different publications. He was undercutting who I fought. He said if I want to move beyond the chump change I'm facing, then I should fight someone like him. I googled his earnings and I realized he makes all of $3,000 more than me per fight. I'm in the process of renegotiating my UFC contract, and I guarantee you by the time I fight my next fight, I'll be making more than Derek. Well, they did have a battle in 2020 and Derek ended up winning again, so I guess Elias was in fact wrong about Derek Brunson. On this note, we'll end our video. These were some of the reasons why a lot of people, including fighters, are so scared of Derek Brunson. Do not forget to click the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.